So we got a lot of different recaps that we're going to talk about. Also, one of the biggest news out in the world today, which sort of involves Diddy, which in this case, there's a lot of people that are insinuating that this brother right here can possibly somehow be free. Now, for those of you that have been watching and following the media, I'm sure there's a part of you that's looking at this saying to yourself, well, that's an impossibility. How can that be? Because when you look at this particular situation right now, what you are seeing is a clear cut case, at least in the eyes of the media, to a certain degree, right? Or is it a certain biasness that maybe you're experiencing? But on any regards, the other news topic that is attached to P. Diddy is obviously Prince Harry. He's sort of upset right now that P. Diddy is being linked to him, and this is according to the Sun, right? So I think this alone right here is something that is bothering him in terms of his public reputation. Obviously, there's a lot of scandals that go into with the royal family. I mean, you look at his uncle, Prince Andrew. He had some weird things going on with Epstein Island and things of that nature, and Harvey Weinstein, and the list goes on, right? Like part of all of that, all of that. So I start thinking to myself, wow, okay, this is an interesting story to sort of bring up. But then on top of that, there's all these other fights that have gone on tonight, which are also really interesting to talk about. So I thought, you know what? Why don't I tie it all together? And how exactly can I do that? How exactly can I tie in all these fights that we've seen tonight and all of these events that are going on right now, in particular with P. Diddy, and how does it all relate? Well, I got to tell you, whether P. Diddy is truly guilty or not, we're going to try to analyze that right now. But at the same time, whether he truly is or whether he isn't, understand this, right? Uh, what he has going on right now is a life threatening situation in which he can face life. And in terms of basically being in in prison for a very long time, man. So there's a lot of time that he's going to waste. Oh, shout out to No Chill MMA, Kyrie, West Coast Connect, sharp new haircut. Thank you, my man. Just trying a different look. Obviously, it's the summer, so you kind of want your hair to, um, feel the breeze a little bit, right? And I think having too much hair, as you've also kind of grown your hair a little bit long yourself. You understand there's a lot of maintenance that goes into that. So sometimes it's just better to wake up and you're right there ready to go, right? Not having to worry about combing it a certain way or styling it or sometimes even gel if that's your thing. Uh, but on any regard, yeah. Back to what I was saying, and shout out to No Chill MMA. Also, like and subscribe to his channel as well. One of my biggest supporters, and I also am one of his biggest supporters in his channel. Um, no Chill says, if I'm Andrew, fine. I wouldn't be marrying a girl that was telling me about being victimized at Diddy's parties. He's a better man than me. If I'm Andrew, fine. When you said Andrew, you mean Prince Andrew in terms of what I was talking about with Prince Harry, being that that's his uncle, because that's the other component to this particular story. By the way, is that Prince Harry, I think, is either threatening to sue or is going after the son for. Oh, Andrew, fine. Okay, okay, okay. Sorry. I didn't know that was his. I didn't know that was his full name. I actually, you know what? I was actually today years old finding out what his name was. Other than that, I just thought, you know what? He was a known name. There it is, right? That's how insignificant the guy is. He's a no name to that degree. But yes, Andrew Fine. Okay, so if I'm Andrew Fine, I wouldn't be marrying a girl. Yes, that is very true. So I now understand what you were saying. So basically, he's being simped out in this whole situation, being made to look like a fool, and having to sit there and endure all this in a very humiliating fashion, right? But that's that's one side of the story. The other side of the story is that Diddy, whether he's guilty or whether he's not, that is for the courts to decide. And there's a lot of compiling evidences that go one way or the other in this particular subject, right? So this can get really confusing, and one never knows what these jurors are thinking inside that courtroom. So that's another thing we have to really take into a serious account. What is their POV? What is it that they are seeing in comparison to what we don't see? Because you got to remember, this particular case is not being broadcasted in a worldwide audience. So that is something to really take into serious consideration. So um, hold on just a second. I am right now just working on uh, thumbnail for this particular live stream, just so we can get more people in here as a result of that. But once I get this going, I will talk and elaborate more on this particular subject matter at hand, because it is a very important subject matter at hand, but also the fights tonight are important subject matter at hand. And one of them, as an important topic about the fights tonight, David Allen. Look, the man of the people, right? This is the type of guy that, as I was telling you in the video that I dropped right after the event, he's the man of the people. He's the guy at the pub, okay? And in English culture, that is a person that is likable, a person that is relatable to a certain degree. Oh, he doesn't think he's higher than everybody else. No, F that. I'm a professional athlete. I got to live my life clean and this and that. That means I can't be partying with none of y'all. Okay. I can't be partying with none of y'all and, engaging in none of that foolery. The problem with David Allen was that he tried to live that life of being that guy at the pub and also being a professional athlete. But I tell you what, the one thing that won him the fight tonight was his experience. The fact that he spars and trains with the likes of Anthony Joshua, that's something to really consider. And not only that, has been in there with some top level competitions, even himself, right? I believe he was in there with Lucas Brown. Lucas Brown at one point was a very dangerous boxer, although a little too slow and plotty for my liking, but still he was right up there during that time. And Johnny Fisher, I got to tell you, I think that there was a lot of holes in his game, and I think that they set him up for this fight a little too early, for my liking, especially in the standards of professional boxing, right? Where they really wanted to build Johnny Fisher as the white Anthony Joshua. Okay, he's got the British thing going on. He's one of the lads, this and that. Yes, he's humble and this and that. You know what? That's sort of the difference between us Americans and the British in the way that we want to see our athletes, right? They want to see their athletes as like these working class heroes. Whereas in America, what we want out of our athletes is somebody like Brock Lesnar, okay? A bigger than life character. Floyd Mayweather, a bigger than life character. Conor McGregor, not an American, but as an Irishman, we accept him almost as an American cousin because he shares our values in trying to express a certain level of overconfidence or over exaggerated uh, arrogance that you want to spew to the world. That is what we like in America in comparison to Britain. They want everybody to be this button down working class guy that, laces up their bootstraps and this and that and doesn't really offend any. I mean, come on, man. That's what they like. This is the kind of people that they are. And as a result of that, this is what you get. All right, there it is. Now I got the thumbnail right up. Okay, I'm going to show you guys the thumbnail that I have up right now. So that is the thumbnail in a nutshell right now that we have up for this one. So there is the Sun, Prince Harry and Diddy, uh, the fights tonight, and David Allen. So where do we start with this particular subject, right? So Prince Harry, obviously, there's a lot of scandals going on. He's already dealing with a lot of things going on with Meghan Markle, and then on top of that, he gets put in this list of P Diddy. Now, okay, here's the problem. Okay, the problem with that particular scenario, I think a lot of people like to correlate things that sometimes is not there. Now, at the same time, where there is smoke, there is fire. But I would like to believe, and certainly a lot of people who have seen and followed Prince Harry over the years would probably like to view this guy as, once again, very similar to the David Allen story. One of the lads. He's one of the lads. When he was in the military, in the British military, I'm talking about Prince Harry, right? That was the one thing that he was absolutely obsessed with, and rightfully so, because when you are entering as an officer to be or training to be an officer, because then obviously you can't let one of the royal family members go to the enlistee route. You got to make them go through the officers route. But either way, they still had to follow orders from somebody. It wasn't like, okay, well, you're the prince, so therefore we're just going to give you automatic ranking. No, he had to start from the lower ranks of the military in the officers list, which is second lieutenant, and then work his way up into lieutenant, and then captain, and then after captain, major, so on and so forth, depending on what is their ranking structure in the British Army. Now, with that in mind, he was now again one of the lads. He was just like everybody else. And in this particular case, I think this is where it's okay to be like everybody else. You're going to mingle with fellow soldiers. You're going to train with fellow colleagues. You're going to go on missions. You're going on hiking. You're going on training. You're going to do it like everyone else. And then afterwards, like everybody does in military culture, they go to the pubs or the beer, and it's no different with the Americans or the British culture in that, right? So that is Prince Harry in an absolute nutshell of that reality, trying to fit in with one of the lads. So you like to believe that he is one of them. And I'm stating a case for if, let's say, you do believe that Prince Harry never did any of these things because you want to believe that he is just one of the lads. But that's okay. If you want to believe that, that's perfectly fine, because the truth is, objectively speaking, we don't know one way or the other. But I will say, news such as The Sun and other satire-like news outlets in the UK, one of the biggest things they like to do, the tabloids and the paparazzis, is that they like to over-exaggerate things or tie things into something that is sensational or clickbaity. So how clickbaity is it that you link Prince Harry with P. Diddy, who is now going through this quote-unquote traffic case going on, right? Other than the fact that he was in the same party with him, because that's what celebrities do. They have to be with other celebrities because they can't relate to anybody else, right? What prince can relate to a normal person? That is, until he went to the military and experienced the life of being like everybody else, okay? So I don't know if there's any correlation to that. And if he's angry about that, quite frankly, he has every right to be, because people are just trying to sensationalize things and put things together where it ain't, putting paint where it ain't, as they say, right? So with P. Diddy, let's find out why a lot of people are saying that this guy has he has a chance of possibly getting out of this. I want to find out why exactly that is, right? Let's take a look at some videos saying that he could potentially go free, and what is the reason behind that. What is the okay? Defense questions Cassie in turn. Okay. Justin Bieber speaks in silence. Legal experts say P. Diddy is looking at years. Okay, let's look at this first, right? Understand why people are saying that he could potentially serve prison time for a long time. Because remember, I don't try to tell you one particular narrative over the other. I try to look at the facts as a whole and both sides of the story to get the truth.
There's really no deal that the U.S. Attorney's Office can offer, and it's certainly not one that Diddy will accept. It would involve decades in federal prison. We're talking about mandatory minimum sentences of 10 years for both the drug charge.
So he's talking about a mandatory 10 years of drug charges. So that's something he's not going to get away with. Okay.
And the sex trafficking.
Okay. The trafficking. Okay. We'll see what others say about that. But
so we know that Diddy has fought charges before. There were state charges. There were gun related.
Okay, gun-related charges in the nightclub. I don't know if that's related to this one.
Nightclub shooting with J-Lo, but he's going to dig in his heels, and this case is going to trial. So if you're prosecutors, you really want to make sure that your evidence is bulletproof before you go down that route.
Okay, so that's one route of that. Let's see here. Who is saying that he could go free? I think a lot of people are just saying this out of oh no, not this. No. Okay, let's find out why. From Gunners Collective, because I don't want to take on a really big channel because they tend to, kind of copyright you. Okay, here it is, right here. Gunners Collective. One day ago, why P Diddy will beat this case. Okay, some compelling.
There are going to be a lot of people that are talking about him. There's going to be a lot of things that are exposed. But it seems like somehow, some way, money, good lawyers, and a lot of people recanting statements and stepping back and reanalyzing the situation is actually helping Diddy. From my perspective on it, having been through trials and court cases, I can tell you guys the absolute truth, man. It sounds good on paper until a person actually has to go up there and testify against you and look you in the eyes and say what they have to say, especially during cross-examination. Now,
okay, so those are very good points, right? It's really different when you go up there in cross-examination and then you have another person firing back at you, in particular, very highly trained lawyers and very expensive lawyers at that, with defending the likes of P. Diddy. And in the cross-examination, basically saying, well, okay, did you really mean this? No, you really meant that. Okay, but you meant to say this. No, I didn't mean to do that. Oh, now it looks like this in the eyes of the jurors. You understand what I mean? Like, that's sort of what is going on here. And again, you got to understand all of this is 100% predicated on what it is that the jurors think. They are the ones that need to be convinced. It is the lawyers, and then the prosecutors are going at it with each other, and then it is the jurors randomly, whoever they are, picked from around the regions of where this court case is taking place at, are the ones that are ultimately going to decide. And the background checks of these jurors, depending on, okay, how much do you know about Diddy? What do you know about this man, or your knowledge of this and your biasness in this particular subject? I'm sure these are all the things that they've taken into consideration when they went and interviewed potential jurors. But okay, let's see what else Gunners Collective has to say about this particular subject.
Yesterday, Cassie went through some cross-examination. And of course, what the lawyers try to do is assassinate your character. They want to talk about you, not about their client. They don't give a fuck what the client did to you. And of course, when it comes to Cassie, she did go through some stuff. She was a victim. But was she a victim of her own fortune? Meaning, did she put herself in that position and just take it and start to enjoy it? Was it deserving? Never that.
Now, okay, those are good points by Gunner Collectives right there, right? Because there are instances where she sort of looks like she was going back to him, and that's not looking good for that's not looking good. That's not looking good for the prosecution. Look, you got to understand something too. There's also a lot of these complaints about these government workers, right? Because you got to remember how Doge came in to try and regulate everything in this particular way, where they are looking at the budgets, who is spending who is what, and the competency of government workers. Remember, prosecutors are government workers. So as a result of being government workers, guess what? Uh, you don't know how efficient they are or non-efficient they are in terms of how they are going to work and how they are going to be effective in their cross examinations. On top of that, how prepared are they? Jackson Caldwell says, a very solid Dagestan beard, amigo. Shout out to you, Jackson Caldwell. I always get that a lot, right? I always get told it's a Dagestani beard. But to further educate that particular conversation, it's more of a Muslim Islamic beard. Obviously, they are Muslims as well. They are all Sunni Muslims. That's a big component of it. And a lot of Sunni Muslims sort of shave the mustache, which is why we virtually have none or just very little of it to none at all, to kind of identify each other as such. So it is crazy that you do identify that as a Dagestani beard, but the Dagestanis just happen to be a very religious group of Muslim guys, and they take the faith very seriously. It's part of their discipline. They add that discipline into their work ethic in the fight world, and as a result, that's what it is. Speaking of the fight world, let's delve a little bit more into the subjects of the fights tonight, right? We're going to get back into the Diddy case again, but this is every week. It's a hardcore fans fight. And you know what? We got to learn to appreciate it because I got to tell you, there's going to come a time when MMA is going to be very limited on a weekly basis. Right now, it's oversaturated. But what if we get to the point where it becomes a lot stale to the point where the producers and the executive branches of the UFC are going to say, you know what? Let's cut down these shows. Would it be more effective? Would the heart grow fonder as a result of that? They would try and experiment on situations like that. And when they do, a lot of the hardcore fans that look forward to watching fights every Saturday are going to be highly disappointed. And so we have to cherish this as we have. Of course, we all have lives. We all have things to do. But if you're an MMA content creator, I would imagine it would be bad if you have nothing to talk about, or create some sort of different avenues in terms of how you're going to convey MMA news, or how you're going to create other subject matters at hand that sort of connect to MMA, but also connect to the outside world. So you got to find these creative avenues to try and stay fresher than the next guy who's basically talking about the same kicks and punches as you. But for me, I'm going to try to convey it in a way where I talk about it in a nostalgic manner, in a way that we can appreciate it right now. I know that we always look back on a lot of the nostalgia, right? But we always have to appreciate the presence. And then, given that we're also talking about P. Diddy in that particular light, being that his freedom is virtually being threatened, we can look at this as a life lesson and say, you know what? These are things that we can highly appreciate and say, you know what? At least we have this time to enjoy all these fights that may seem meaningless, but in reality builds a lot of memories and nostalgia for the future for us to look back on. So with that in mind, the gatekeeper has ended with Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns got beat. Okay, and this is great for Morales. I got to be honest with you. You want to know why this is great for Morales? Because now Morales can take this into the next stratosphere of the welterweight division. And then on top of that, the welterweight division is now even more stacked. You got Ian Gary, Buckley. If he beats Usman, through the roof. He already beat Colby Covington, former interim champion, former multiple-time challenger. So all these new guys are coming up in the 170 division. Then you got Ian Gary. Then you got Shafkat. Then you got, who else? Buckley, I mentioned. Obviously, JDM. one of the youngest champions right now in UFC's roster in the current moment of time. And then he's not even the best guy in there, probably. Maybe it's Shafkat. But on any regard, there's a lot of motions going on at 170 where all the older guys are being pushed out. Whereas at 155, there's a maintenance of a gatekeeping mission from the likes of Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier. But I think Dustin Poirier is obviously going to ride off into the sunset in his last fight against Max. But on any regard, that's what you got now with Morales and Burns. Now, the other subject that I didn't put on the description, but I think is an important focal point to bring up, is the fact that Paul Craig and Bellagio missed their fight because Bellagio had a sickness. We don't know what that is, right? That could be a whole bunch of things. I'll tell you this, right? Darren Till, shout out to him. He's doing very well in boxing right now. He knocked out a homie of mine, Anthony Pretty Boy Taylor, unfortunately, but that's the name of the game. But he's doing very well in boxing, both of them. But obviously, Darren Till right now has a different problem in boxing where a lot of people don't want to fight him because he's dangerous. He's still great at striking, but at the same time, they don't want to risk his reputation getting beat by a guy like that. And that is why Tommy Fury decided to go and fight somebody else, right? But that's neither here or there. Where was I going with that subject with Darren Till? Oh man, fuck. Oh, okay. Damn, where was I going with that subject with Darren Till? Hold on a second. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hold on. Important focal point to bring up is the fact that Paul Craig and Bellagio missed their fight because Bellagio had a sickness. We don't know what. Oh, okay, Darren Till. Okay. So the sickness. Okay, this is why Darren Till. Okay, yeah, Darren Till has his own problems right now. But did you know that during the Kelvin Gastelum fight, he was very close on pulling out on that fight? Did you know that? He said, "Mate, did you know that I was going to make an excuse? I was going to say that I was sick." And you remember during that fight week, he came in on a Thursday because he had some visa issues. Who helped him with his visa issues? Donald Trump helped him with his visa issues. Obviously, we know Donald Trump right now is out on a world tour in the Middle East, making deals, this and that, getting gifts from the Qatari government and this and that. I mean, people are just excited about Trump right now, right? But at the same time, there's also, there's always the other side of that too, but not to get too apolitical in this particular topic. But yeah, Darren Till admitted that he wanted to pull out on that fight. He wanted to pull out on that fight. And so he just made a conscious effort that, like, you know what, I'm not going to pull out of this fight. He got medically cleared by the president's doctors because he had to get medical clearance. Otherwise, they would have canceled the fight on the spot, and Kelvin Gastelum would not have had an opponent that night, and his fight would have been canceled too, right? Because he would have had no opponent that night. But yeah, a little backstory there, right? So yeah, Bellagio on this hand, we don't know what's going on, right? But he pulled out of his fight, and I think honestly, Paul Craig dodged a bullet. That's really the main thing that I think everybody should be talking about. We don't know what Bellagio's reason of why he pulled out of his fight, or maybe it was real that he had real illnesses going on or underlying issues, or maybe not. We don't know. The reality is that Paul Craig dodged a bullet. I really think that Paul Craig could have gotten finished tonight. He would have been beaten soundly. And as a result of that, I think that because this fight didn't happen, we can sort of prolong Paul Craig's career a little bit and maybe put him in better fights, maybe somewhere in UFC London, July. I think they're having a July London card. I think that's the best bet for him. London card, July, something to that effect. But yeah, on any regard, yeah, Paul Craig dodged a bullet. So That was one of the lackluster highlights of the night. But I tell you what, afterwards they went to the co-main event, uh, and then straight away into the main event. So it was quite an early night. If you were watching UFC in the West Coast, I mean, you had a pretty early night because it was Sadiq Youssef versus Myron Santos, right? Let's take a look at the stats on this particular fight. Okay, so the stats on this fight right here: 41% significant strikes for Sadiq Youssef, 48 for Myron. The total strikes quite even, quite even. Sadiq Youssef was the only one that really tried to shoot in for a takedown, and he did get one, but once again, takedowns don't always win fights. It wasn't really all that long, and I think the striking percentage went to Santos. It could have gone either way. The fight could have gone either way. Same thing with Nurslan Ruzbekioff versus Dustin Soltov. It could have gone either way as well. That could have absolutely gone either way, but the significant strikes went to the side of Dustin. He had most of the takedowns, but then they gave Nurslan the fight. That's controversial right there. I got to be honest with you, right? Dustin had most of the takedowns. You could argue maybe even more of the ground control, but no doubt he had the higher percentage in the striking. And it says so right here on stats. And then he had the majority of the submission attempts. And Nurslan still won. Controversial. Controversial indeed. Costa won by a decision as well against Rosa. So during the prelims, man, there were a lot of finishes going on. And then all of a sudden, it just became a decision. Costa was a decision. Obviously, Rodolfo and Craig got canceled mid card, literally mid card, right? Mid main card, we were informed, and then that was that, right? I was like, oh man, I hope the pacing doesn't slow down. Tecia Torres got the win. Park got a submission in the first round against Carlos Hernandez. I elaborated a little more on this in the live. I'm just going over it again. Denise Gomez gets a TKO against Elise Reed. Luana Santos gets a submission over Lisboa. Yadir gets a submission over Connor Matthews in the first round, his UFC debut. How about Jared Gordon with that right hand over Thiago Moises after a 2-year hiatus? And then Gabe Green gets a submission after almost getting submitted himself. He gets caught in a triangle only for him to come out of it and, get a submission on his own rear naked choke. So that was it, man. That was it for UFC. And obviously for David Allen. Let's talk a little bit about David Allen here, okay? What can we say about David Allen? He's the guy from the pub. That's what it is. That's what these British guys, I swear to you, these British guys are highly obsessed with that notion. They want to be that guy at the pub, right? I told you guys this in my video. Ricky Hatton was like that. He wanted to be like everybody else, one of the guys at the pubs. A lot of these British dudes, they have this problem. But you know what? Tom Aspinall, I got to be honest with you, he has a little bit of that Polish disciplined mentality, not this wild English side to him to any degree, right? He's this guy that's very disciplined, very humble, right? Not like a big trash talker, but at the same time, I think it hurts him because he's not this like Tom Hardy character that he can be, right? But that's Tom Aspinall in a nutshell for you. So, all right, what else? What else do we have for this one? I just wanted to make this a little bit of a short one here, but let's see and make sure that I covered everything that I wanted to cover on this particular topic right here. So David Allen, obviously an enigmatic figure that can go from serious to clownish. Okay, is he a man of the people? That's sort of the question we're asking here. Is he an athlete who lacks discipline? Well, we sort of answered that here, right? He doesn't like discipline. He doesn't like it. He would rather just eat fish and chips all day and a soda pop, as he says. They call it pop, right? But we call it soda in the United States. But yeah, uh, he's that kind of guy. You see it in his physique, right? The way that his belly was protruding like out there like that. Like you could tell this guy was not about that life and that discipline. You know what? Tyson Fury is the same way, but they get away with talent. They get away with talent, but not only that too. I think David Allen, his talent is predicated on the type of people that he sparred. Right? You look at the names that he sparred over the years. It's amazing, right? So I think we answered that question. And look, is David Allen a slacker? In a way, he is, but you know what? It helps his performance in the ring. Sometimes some guys perform better when they don't take themselves seriously. Really, that's the reality of it, especially in regards to his latest performance tonight with Fisher. Now, um, Fresh Melon Juice says Tyson Fury can't KO people because his legs are twigs. Yeah, you could say that, but you know what? David Allen can knock out people. He can absolutely knock out people, but he doesn't have the skills that Tyson Fury has. And old school trainers used to say in boxing, kid, a jab will take you around the world. You know, those 1920s style type of trainers that wore the fedora hats. You stick with me, kid, and I'll take you to the top. You know, like those type of guys. You know what I mean? That's what they used to say back in the days. A jab will take you around the world, kid. You know, that jab will take you around the world. You got to have that jab. David Allen doesn't have a jab. He's not a rangy fighter. He did manage and did a very good job of fighting Mexican style. You know what? And I see why he calls himself the Don Castor de la Hoya. I now understand why, right? He has that Mexican style of fighting. And Oscar de la Hoya would probably say something to the effect, yeah, man, you know, he has that Mexican style of fighting is David Allen. That is why he names himself after me. He names himself after me because he is the Don Castor de la Hoya, because he has a heart of a Mexican fighter. You know, that's David Allen in a nutshell, man. You know, but that's what I mean. Look, here's the thing, right? David Allen, I'm going to tell you what I really like about him, too. It reminds me of Forrest Griffin. There was one fight where Forrest Griffin said right afterwards, who do you want next? He says, well, you know, I want somebody that's slow, that's kind of old like me, because I can't keep up with none of these younger guys. He was so honest about that. He was so candid and honest about that. It was so crazy how honest he was about that notion that, you know what, I can't compete with high level guys out there. I want to compete with guys at this particular level. This is what I want. This is what I can handle. You know what I mean? Uh, and you got to respect that. David Allen is saying the same thing. David Allen ain't out here saying, you know what, I'm going to beat everybody. I'm going to be the best heavyweight in the world. I'm going to be a problem for X, Y, and Z in this particular ranking, in this particular championship. He ain't saying none of that. He's not saying any of that. All that he's saying is that I want to be here. I want to enjoy boxing. I want to be in Anthony Joshua cards. I want to be in Tyson Fury cards. I want to be able to box in undercards that are big names, and then afterwards go in the back and enjoy the rest of the show. This is what he wants. He doesn't want to be the top of the show or the top of the bill. He just wants to take part. Like, you know how Connor said back in the days, we're not here to take part. We're here to take over. We're not here to take part. The Irish are not here to take part. We're here to take over. Okay, when he said that, that's not the mentality that David Allen has. He wants to take part. He wants to be a good company man. Oh, you want me in the toughest fights? Sure, no problem. I'll sacrifice my record. But I tell you what, why did Fisher take this fight? Even David Allen was so realistic and so self-deprecating that he said, I don't know why why Johnny Fisher wanted to take this fight. He didn't have to take this fight, but he did. And as a result of taking this fight, he got into a dangerous situation and got finished. I think because the first fight was so egregiously close that they really had to prove a point that Johnny Fisher had to get that one back any other way, right? Whether they had to get it back through points again or whether they could find a knockout for Johnny Fisher himself. They wanted some kind of redemption out of the Doncaster de la Hoya. And did they get it? Well, they got a little too much of what they asked for. And as a result of that, it was a success for David Allen and it became a failure for Johnny Fisher. As far as Johnny Fisher, you want to know what we're looking at? We're looking at the new age David Price. You remember David Price? He was destined to be something. He was an Olympian at that, right? He was Team GB. I believe he won like bronze medal or silver medal or both. Was a decorated amateur. So we thought that he was going to be something. And then next thing you know, he keeps getting knocked out and knocked out and knocked out. And next thing you know, he becomes a journeyman fighter and then ends up retiring. I mean, look, I'm sure David Price made good enough money in his career. He could have probably made more. He could have been Tyson Fury level. I mean, he had the height. Obviously, he didn't have the intensity or the athleticism that of Tyson Fury, but he had the pedigree. He had everything going for him. But I think that is where the trajectory of Johnny Fisher's career is going to be at. And as for David Allen, you want to know where I think his career is going to be at with this? He's going to be the new Derek Chisora. Think about it. Derek Chisora is a dark horse. He can beat anybody at any time, but then he also has his limits, right? Derek Chisora can knock out Dylan White at any time. He can beat Joseph Parker. He's beaten a lot of really good guys, but then his limit stops at Tyson Fury. And multiple times him and Tyson Fury fought. Tyson has proven that over and over again. So there's nothing deviating from that. But yeah, that is the reality that we have of David Allen. Great fight, great memories. Once again, him himself is very limited, but I love the fact that he is so honest about it. And there's nothing more you can ask from a guy. Look, a lot of us like to tear other people down who love to talk big, love to talk high powered, love to talk with exuberated confidence. We want to tear that person down. We really do. We want to tear somebody like that down. Oh, wait, hold on. Did I have the no, hold on. Just want to make sure I put in the video link here. Oh, okay. What do we have here? Video link. Find out for more from the previous link video. Okay. Okay, I have the link of video here real quick. Sorry, hold on just a second. See, even on lives, I try to be as perfect as humanly possible, right? A lot of people, when they are on lives, what people like to do is they like to say a lot. They like to talk like as if they're talking to their homie or this and that. No, not me. I like to try and speak as much professionally as possible and not leave a lot of dead air. This is what you hear a lot with DJ Academics live streams. 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later. Oh, yeah, Diddy case. Oh, yeah, Hassan Campbell. Oh, yeah, Whack 100. And then more silence. And then more Oz. And then more N-bombs. And this and that and the other. Fresh Melon Juice says, is Ilya running from Movzar? I tell you what, right? I think with Movzar, I don't think he's running from him. I think he would fight him, but Charles Oliveira is a better opportunity right now. 155 is a better opportunity for Ilya. And I think what Ilya is truly running from is the weight cutting. He doesn't want to weight cut anymore. And quite frankly, can you blame him, Fresh Melon Juice? It's hard to blame him when he doesn't want to cut weight anymore. And quite frankly, he has every right to not want to cut weight anymore. He has that right. So it doesn't mean that he's scared of him. Uh, Movzar can go fight, obviously, Volkanovski right now, and I think that's the fight that they are set to line up right now. They are lining up Volkanovski and Movzar. So, yeah, it's something to consider there. Uh, so, no, I don't think he's scared of him, but I tell you what, I love that Volkanovski's not scared of Movzar, that he will give him an opportunity, and I think that Movzar easily beats him. I think that he beats him. I said that because Ilya is saying Islam is running from him. Yeah, bro. You know what? I know that's a focal point with a lot of uh, content media creators in the MMA space. I'm going to tell you why. Right? They have to create a story. Like this is what we have to do. This is no different than journalism. This is no different than having to write a story. If let's say you work for a news company, right? That's literally what we do in YouTube. So what they do is they find a narrative in a story. What's the topic? Islam and Ilya. That's a hot topic right now, right? And then they take that topic and they say, all right, well, let's say that Ilya is scared, or I'm sorry, Islam is scared of Ilya. I mean, what a ridiculous thing to say. Do we really believe that? And the reason why I don't believe that is because I've been around enough fighters. I've been around TJ Dillashaw when he was a champion, Uriah Faber when he was in WEC, and when he debuted into the UFC. I've been around Chad Mendez when he was getting ready for the Jose Aldo fight. I've been around all of that, right? And the one thing in common that they all have is that they all search for glory, right? These are not guys that are being punked in the streets or being challenged for a fade or this and that. And if you don't, then you look like a punk and you look like a bitch or this and that. This is not, none of that. None of that is what's going on here in the MMA world. You see, these guys are in a space where they have an opportunity to win glory and make history. And that is the mindset that they are on. Like, for example, you look at Trump, right? A lot of people are saying that he's doing a good job, right? And I'm not here to argue one way or the other. If you think that he's doing a good job, well, one of the reasons why he's doing a good job is because he's trying to make historical record-like decisions. What he did in the Middle East, making deals with Saudi Arabia, with Qatar, and then trying to break a peace deal with Palestine and the Israeli conflict. Those are landmark situations, okay? And those are historical implications. That puts Trump right up there with Theodore Roosevelt, puts him right up there with John F. Kennedy. It puts him right up there with George Washington. And it puts him right up there with John Adams and a list of people that have been pivotal in American history. Now, why is Trump doing that? Because he is in a position where he can create things for his own ego and his own legacy, whatever it is that you want to side one way or the other and what you want to call it. Well, why am I saying all of that, and how does that correlate with Islam and Ilya Topuria? These are not guys that are scared of each other. These are guys that are trying to reach glory. And for me to come out here and make a video, something to the effect of, well, this guy is scared of this guy, it would be extremely disingenuous of me to do so. It would be a very disingenuous effort on my part to say that, well, you know what, Islam is scared, or this guy is scared, or this and that. Nobody is scared. It's just that these guys are looking for higher opportunities and the highest paycheck that they can find, because this is a very short career and you have a very short window to do that. So that's what I think, in my opinion. But if you think that I'm wrong, please correct me and let me know why I'm wrong. But if I think you're wrong, then we can have a discussion about it and debate, and that's ultimately what we do. So, yeah, let me know on the comment section below if you agree or disagree with that notion. I would like to get your thoughts on that. So, on any regard, let's take a look at what Prince Harry had to say about the Sun. because this has something to do with, okay, so this is from The Guardian. Prince Harry accused the son of printing out a story linking him to P. Diddy out of revenge, okay, according to The Guardian. Exclusive court documents reveal Prince Harry claimed front page story and other articles had hugely negative impacts on his mental health, that of his wife and children. Now, people are going to read this and think, man, listen, mental health, what are you talking about? You are the Prince of Wales. Like, what can you possibly? And yeah, I understand that notion. I am kind of one of those people too, where I'm like, you know what? Do you realize there are starving people in Africa, right? Like, that is my MO and my get down on everything is that, everything is predicated on the fact that, look, this is what you're saying is going on. And yet, this is the privilege that you have as an American citizen. And then, as even better on his position, being that he's the Prince of England, right? But let's, yeah, I get that. I get those positions one way or the other, right? But that is the backlash ultimately that you're going to get, especially from people in England who, by the way, a lot of them, have very tough lives, very tough situations of trying to make it from one socioeconomic class to another. So there's a lot of jealousy that goes into higher elite or rich people and whatnot. But yeah, so moving on, Prince Harry accused the Sun newspaper of being motivated by revenge when publishing a front page story reporting that he had been named in a lawsuit accusing Sean P. Diddy Combs of sex trafficking, according to the claims in a newly disclosed court document. The story was said by the Duke of Sussex to be among one of the large number of false, highly derogatory articles published by Rupert Murdoch's news group newspaper in retaliation for his claims of phone hacking and unlawful information gathering. And Prince Harry claimed that the article and others published by The Sun and The Sun on Sunday had hugely negative impacts on his mental health and that of his wife and kids. So the allegations are contained in the schedule to be in skeleton arguments in support of claim for damages for unlawful behavior by the NGN's newspaper. The case NGN, which was jointly taken from the former deputy Tom Watson, was not tested in the court. It was settled in January with a payout to the claimants for legal costs and damages reportedly in excess of £10 million. If the case had not been settled, NGN was prepared to argue that the claim was outside the 6-year statute of limitations and to the challenge allegations relating to the sources of a series of articles highlighted by the Duke, according to the company's defense argument. The court had already ruled that his allegations, specifically relating to phone hacking, were too late. The Guardian is able to report from legal arguments after parties argued to their provision after an application to High Court Judge Mr. Justice Fancourt. Fergus Magtart says, yes, hey, how you doing, my man? Shout out to you. In the scheduling, setting out Harry's claims that the alleged had since issued his claim on the 27th of September 2019. NGN has published in The Sun or The Sun on Sunday on large number of false and highly derogatory articles about the DOS, plainly in retaliation, including articles, the Duke of Sussex. Okay, that's what DOS is, the Duke of Sussex. Betrayed by his family, lied about to the garner sympathy, is a traitor to the country, and perhaps damaging of all, has named him in a high-profile sex trafficking case. So the claim went to allege that the articles put such a strain on his relationship with the royal family that it forced him to leave the institution and relocate to North America, leaving behind all that he knew and held dear. And the mentions of high-profile sex traffic case is a reference to a front-page story published from The Sun of 27th of March 2024, reporting that Harry had been named in a $24 million sex trafficking lawsuit filed against the U.S. rapper Sean P. Diddy Combs. And it ran the headline named Harry named P. Diddy in a case. Then story went to claim that the bombshell legal filings alleged that Diddy used Harry's name to give legitimacy to the wild parties where serious illegal activity took place. Wow, okay. And it stated at the bottom of the fourth page that Harry was not accused of any wrongdoing. The story, which was covered over 2 pages inside the newspaper, was reporting a claim made by the record producer Rodney Jones against Combs, who was in trial over criminal charges of trafficking, racketeering, and he denies the allegations. Jones had alleged affiliations with the sponsor, so this goes on and on and on. And in 1996 to 2000, private life, on and on and on. Okay, so very long article. Check that out. It's from The Guardian. It is, what is the date on this? So this was May 16th, Friday. Okay. So this was basically yesterday from The Sun. So check out that article right there for more full details of that, or if you want to reread that again. But yeah, that is what we have so far with Prince Harry being named in this particular case. So I think that is all that we have. We got about maybe 4 or 5 minutes left on the live stream. I just wanted to come in here and do a quick 1 hour, get the recap in, talk about different subjects that are going on around the world right now. P. Diddy being one of them. Obviously, a lot of people are saying that there's a possibility that he could beat this case. Other people are saying otherwise. But I think the reason why a lot of people are saying that he can beat this case is predicated on the mishaps of the prosecution. And again, there is still more to this trial. We also have to understand that it is the jurors that ultimately decide, and they are the ones that see the proceedings of this court, because remember, this court is not televised. But for whatever reason, a lot of the insane details are being leaked out to the public. But on any regard, that is what we have on that one. And yeah, Prince Harry being very upset that he's named into all these allegations, and he's saying that it's affecting the health of his family. But I mean, hey, to each its own, right? We don't know other people's struggles or what it is that they go through just because they are famous, or just because they are stars, or just because somebody's royalty. They are still human beings by the end of the day. And just like Dave Allen and what we talked about with his subject, he's just one of the lads. And Morales, we went over all the fights with Burns and Morales, top to bottom. We even went over Dave Allen and the main event with Johnny Fisher. We went over all of that. Yeah, man. The UFC stacked division right now at 170, right? And then it's the new guys that are coming up in 170, whereas at 155, it's been just the old guards. But maybe Ilia Topuria has a chance of changing that, because speaking of old guards, Charles Oliveira is still right up there, and he now has a chance to win the title. Now, if Ilia Topuria was to beat him, I think that would add fresh new blood to the 155 division. But what about Islam Makhachev? If he were to beat JDM, does he go back down, or does he give Ilya the opportunity to become a 3-weight champion? I'm telling you, for those two guys to keep winning, Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev, those two guys, right now, they are the UFC's top money-making machine. They are. And they both got to keep winning. Because the more that they both keep winning, the more that there's a chance that they fight, and the more and more that fight gets bigger, and the more the UFC gets bigger. So with that in mind, that is all that I have for this one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And before I go, I want you guys to check out my new video that I have on my channel. Let me show it to you right here. This is the new video that I have out right now. Dave Allen, everyone's favorite slacker, Morales defeats Gatekeeper, which is Burns. So I'm going to play 30 seconds of this, and then I'm going to sign out, and I'll see you guys in the next one, inshallah. Go ahead and watch this video, and also Go watch it for me. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Also on this one and the other one. Michael Morales just defeated none other than Gilbert Burns in the 170 division in UFC's Fight Night. And we also have David Allen now defeating in a rematch